Hi, my name's Jack Massey Welsh, and after 1 year of owning this car, this is 10 things I do not like about my Tesla Model 3, sponsored by Squarespace. So a few other YouTubers have done videos similar to this, so the 10 things that I'm going to pick, they are a little obscure because I want to pick things that haven't been mentioned by other channels, but they are all legitimate issues that I do have with the car. And also, obviously, I'm very grateful to be in the position to have this very fancy Tesla, but because it's the preface of the video, I am going to do some complaining. So, number one, this isn't in any order by the way, the hazard light is way too small. Normally on cars, the hazard lights button is a massive big round red button that you can click really easily in case there's a hazard, some kind of emergency. Whereas on the Tesla, it's up here and it's a really small button and it's right next to an SOS button. So in an emergency, if you really quickly needed to just tap it,
an emergency call
I've started calling the emergency call thing.
To cancel it, use the display screen. The emergency call has been cancelled.
Good. Do you see my issue? Now, in all fairness to the 2021 model, they have gotten rid of the SOS button, so it is a little bit bigger. But that being said, I still think it's in a little bit of a tricky space. I just feel like you need something that's really accessible and easy to click, because you can see that it's all completely flat. So you kind of have to be looking at the button in order to click it. That being said, there is a cool feature with the hazard lights where if you do an emergency stop and you brake hard enough, the hazard lights do turn on automatically without you having to click that. But it's not 100% of the time. So let's test that right now. So we're going to go quite fast. I'm going to get up to 35 and that was a really strong emergency stop and our hazard lights have turned on. Thank goodness we are getting a new car next week, Becky, because I think our tyres...
Jesus Christ!
I needed to do an emergency stop, Becky. Alright, let's move on to number 2. Squeaky brakes. Basically, unless you use the car every single day, when I use Summon to reverse the car out of the garage, quite often it will make this noise. Now that kind of squeaky noise, it's common with not just Teslas, but I have done some Googling and it seems like Tesla Model 3s do experience this issue quite frequently. And it doesn't necessarily always mean there's a big problem, and it's something that goes away if you're using the car a lot, but it's still a very loud noise and it does happen most times I take the Tesla out of the garage. Number 3, sometimes the car's entertainment system just doesn't do anything. It doesn't work, it doesn't connect. Quite often if I try to do a voice command, or we try to play a song via Spotify, or we try and connect our phones via Bluetooth, just nothing loads. And sometimes we've struggled on for like 10 minutes just trying to get a single song to play, and it doesn't say there's any kind of issue. You can see right now that Arctic Monkeys is just not loading, and it's been like that for about 5 minutes. Voice commands at the moment seem to be working. Turn windscreen wipers on. Here we go. And there we go, they're on. Turn windscreen wipers off. And you can see it's turned them off. But quite often, I click that little button, I say something, and then the car just ignores me, and no text pops up at all. It's difficult to give an example, maybe we should film next time it happens, but I'd say the car has trouble connecting to those kind of things at least 20% of the time, and it is really annoying. Number 4. I've got a right squeaky chair. So if you don't know, when you get in and out of the car, you can set different profiles so that when you're in the seat, the car adjusts to your correct leg position and lumbar support. Feels really weird to be complaining about this. But listen to this when it changes mode. One more time for you. Oh, that was a bad one. Excuse me. So in fairness, I think that is partly responsible to the fancy car mats that we've got installed, because maybe there's just a little bit more friction. But I would describe car mats as a fairly essential item, and the squeaking, it's kind of annoying. Anyway, there are 6 more to go, but first let's hear from today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the best platform for building a website. Let's say I want to create a website that promotes myself. We'll go to personal and CV. Absolutely tons of different templates for me to choose from, but I think I'll go with this one. Everything is fully customizable, so I can get rid of this and put whatever I want. We can go ahead and replace this loser with an actual good picture of myself. There we go, much better, and that's all fully customizable as well. Squarespace is great, it's got everything you need. You've seen design, but they've also got analytics, email campaigns, membership only content. It's great, so definitely check it out. Squarespace.com/Jack Massey Welsh. And when you want to go ahead and purchase a domain name, you can use code Jack Massey Welsh for an extra 10% off. Alright, I'm dying to know what the 5th thing I don't like about my Tesla is. Let's go. Number 5 is build quality. There's a lot of discussion on YouTube about poor Tesla build quality. It's not something I really experienced. For example, I look around and perhaps that gap there is a little weird compared to this gap. Maybe this gap could be considered a little bit wide. This one doesn't quite line up 100%. But honestly, I think it's completely fine. We had a couple of issues sort of when we first purchased the car and got home. Becky noticed that there was actually some red paint that was right there. But you can see that she actually managed to scratch it off, and that was sorted. It's not really acceptable that a car of this value should have that, but we managed to sort it out ourselves. The only other thing that I've had a problem with that I'm not going to be able to show you is that when I'm driving, I feel like I can hear a small rattling noise here every so often if I'm driving fast enough. I've never been able to film it because it is so quiet, but I can just hear it ever so slightly every so often in my right ear. Number 6 is the windscreen wipers. Now, if you've watched other Tesla complaint videos, this one might have come up, but I thought it was worth mentioning again because I do consider it a fairly significant issue. And basically that issue is when you're driving and it's heavy rain, turning the wipers on isn't as easy as it really should be, because obviously you need to be paying attention on the road, but you have to head over to this touch screen, you have to find this tiny little button. Obviously clicking touch screen is difficult, and then you have to change what kind of mode you want them on, all on touchscreen. And operating a touchscreen without looking is really fiddly because obviously real buttons, you don't need to look. If you know where they are and you're used to the car, you can generally click a real button without looking at it, whereas the touchscreen does make that more difficult. A little shortcut that you could do is press the windscreen wash button. That makes them come up and it activates this menu, but I would still have to mess with these manually if auto wasn't sufficient. At number 7, I've got a couple of issues with the steering wheel. I would argue that this looks very pretty from this angle. It's lovely, it's vegan leather, it's very fancy. But if you take a look from over here, or perhaps over there, it's got quite what I would describe as ugly stitching all around it. And it is quite noticeable from the passenger seat. And there's a few what I would call knobbly bits, where I could imagine, right there for example, after a couple of years of owning this car, if my fingers around here, I could end up kind of unraveling the leather a little bit. I just think aesthetically it doesn't look great, and I could see it maybe being a problem if we were to have the car for a long time. And then the only other slight issue that people have brought up about this steering wheel is the fact that it isn't heated. Generally, cars that are of this value would have a heated steering wheel. Obviously, they've got the heated seats, so it's not a big problem that the steering wheel's not heated. Your hands can warm up eventually from the normal aircon, but it is something that's generally expected for cars that cost this amount of money and more. At number 8, we've got the old boot water fiasco. If there's loads and loads of rain and you lift your boot up, the rain will pour and then leak onto your stuff in the boot, as you can see, which is obviously a bit annoying. So if there's lots and lots of rain, it doesn't all get collected.
That's another way to soak it.
Yeah. But yeah, rain's meant to collect here, but as you can see, quite often some of it, if the rain's heavy enough, it does make its way into the boot, which could ruin your stuff. They fixed this a while ago, but they didn't quite fix it enough, obviously. So in the new 2021 model, they've added little holes to this. Oh, I've just got myself in the eye. They've added little holes to this part so that it does completely solve the issue. And similar to the heated seat issue, complaints from rich people is the fact that this one isn't automatic, which generally cars that are this expensive, a lot of them do have an automatic boot. But once again, this has been fixed with the new 2021 model. At number 9, we've got the fact that the car doesn't have a bird's eye view cam, because that is a feature quite common on luxury vehicles these days. Obviously, it does have really, really good reverse cameras. That's a really nice view when you are reversing, and it's got the lines, which is really, really helpful for parking. I do use that every time. And it's also added these 2 side cameras. But it is a shame that as well as that, you don't also have a 360 cam over on this side, which shows the bird's eye view. The reason they don't have this is because I guess they didn't plan for it. So they don't have enough cameras in the correct places to create one of those bird's eye views, and I do think that's a little bit of a shame that that wasn't something that was adjusted for the new 2021 model as well, because that also does not have a bird's eye view feature. And then the final issue that we've got with the 2019 Tesla Model 3, keep in mind once again this list is in no particular order, the final issue is the alarm is just a bit rubbish. Obviously the Sentry Cam features are amazing, that's fantastic, but we've done a couple of videos on the alarm in the past, and our issue is it's just really, really difficult to get the alarm to go off, no matter what you do. If you're climbing on the car, it doesn't go off. I saw on Twitter a few days ago, someone posted a picture of their Tesla which had been broken into, the window had been smashed, and they said that the alarm did not go off. So I think they need to do some tweaks. I'm not saying that it should be really, really sensitive, but it definitely needs changing in some way. That has also been, I think, 3 occasions over the last year where Becky and I left the car, nothing went near it, and the alarm went off, and we have no idea what exactly happened. So basically, to summarize, the alarm isn't perfect. But that's it, that's the end of the video. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Let me know what you think of the list in the comments down below, particularly if you've got a Tesla Model 3. Is there anything that you would add or change from my list? Thanks a lot for watching. We upload every single Saturday, so make sure to subscribe. Check out Squarespace, and I will see you later. Oh my god! I was meant to be... I didn't realise I was in reverse.